All right, everybody, welcome to this session of personal growth plan. This is a session that we're doing for you, everybody who attended the 2021 action planning session for Kingdom Leaders. My name is Bevan Flumelo and I'm with Cynthia today, and we want to help you to develop your own personal growth plan. So Cynthia, I have seen in many cases challenges that so many people struggle with pertaining to get their action plans implemented. So many people, put up their goals. So many people, develop their action plans, but they struggle where it comes to getting the plan implemented. Now, one thing that we've learned at New Gates and Africa for Tomorrow is that the reason why people struggle is not because they wouldn't have planned. It's because they have planned, but they have not prepared themselves to actually get to implement the plan that they would have set. One thing we have seen is that goals actually bring sort of like a requirement on anyone who's supposed to act on them, a requirement for you to develop yourself. So we want you, because you are a learning strategist and expert in this, we want you to help us understand and appreciate how exactly can a person put up their own personal development plan so that they can actually prepare themselves to implement whatever that they have set out in their action plan, particularly in this case for 2021.
Great, Bevan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So excited to be here and to share on how someone can put together their personal growth plan. So yeah, from where you were coming from, I suppose the person would have had envisioned their future. They have that futuristic picture of what they want or who they want to become. So the first instance for them, or the first thing rather that they would need to do would be to do a self-evaluation.
All right.
Yes. So I'll just take you through the steps that one needs to do when they are doing a personal growth plan. So the first step is to do a self-evaluation. So every journey indeed, every journey of growth begins with self-evaluation. So they need to take stock of their strengths or their weaknesses. So when I'm talking about strengths, I'm talking about those skills or gifts that they already have that will help them attain the goals that they have. Or now when they're looking at weaknesses, these are those things that can inhibit them from the progress that they need for them to be able to be or to reach where they have to reach. So weaknesses could be lack of a skill or lack of knowledge. So the first things first would be to do a self-introspection to be able to see what is it that they do have as strengths and what is it that they do have as weaknesses, and they start working from there.
All right, so this is with regards to knowledge and skills that are required for you to actually attain your goals, right? Or they're just looking at it generally at the moment?
No, it's now pertaining to the goal that they are looking at, what they want to achieve. Yes.
All right. Right. So you have set your goal. You are now so certain about what you want to accomplish. And now you do that introspection where you're now looking at what you have as strengths and what you are struggling with in terms of weaknesses pertaining to knowledge and skills. Okay, I got it. Let's move on.
Precisely. So now the second step would be now to bridge the knowledge or the skills gap. So what we are saying is that already you know where you want to go. Already you know who you want to become in the next maybe year or 2 years, but now you are still here where you have done your evaluation. So now the question is, how do you close that gap between where you are today and where you want to be in the future? So you should know one thing, that every skills gap or knowledge gap can only be bridged by learning. So now learning, Bevan, doesn't just happen. It has to be intentional. You just don't find yourself just learning for fun. You need to know why you have to be learning. So learning actually requires you to have a certain mindset. So before I think I continue, I need to take you through how to cultivate the rightful learning mindset for you to make all your learnings effective.
Right.
So
That's good.
first and foremost, you need to believe that you can. When you look at that goal, you should have that internal dialogue where you tell yourself that no matter what it takes, no matter how hard it's going to be, I am going to achieve this goal. So you need to believe that you will make it and that you can do it. So that is the first step to developing the rightful mindset for learning. Then secondly, you need to have an open mind. So what am I talking about when I'm talking about having an open mind? You need to be someone who is willing to unlearn some of the things or concepts that you have learned before. You know, the world is changing every day. The way we are living now is totally different from the way we lived maybe last year or even 2 years ago. So obviously some concepts, they no longer apply in the world that we are living in now. So you need to be able to unlearn those old concepts and relearn new concepts that are now relevant for the new world that we are in now. Don't be rigid, be fluid. That's how I would want to say. So
that's really good. That's really important.
All right. Then the third point in developing the right mindset, Bevan, would be to develop passion. You need to have love for the subject matter. There is no way you are going to push yourself if you are in the wrong state. And when I'm saying wrong state, when you're in a bored state, you will not be able to grasp what you need to grasp. So you need to develop passion or enthusiasm. This now takes me back to a time when I was still in primary school, and my maths teacher actually used to say, you know what, Cynthia, you'll never get this. You'll never get this concept until you tell yourself that you love mathematics. And I still see that point still applying even now. No matter how hard the subject is, I need to develop drive. I need to have the passion. And one thing that I see that fuels the passion is to go back to the why. Why is it important that I learn what I have to learn? Why is it important that I achieve this goal? By just doing that only, you will see the passion now welling up.
Well, that's really good, because you see, one of the key things that we've been telling people with regards to building up their goals is to make sure that whatever that they detail as a goal that they are aiming for, they need to have passion for it. They need to fall in love with their vision, fall in love with their, and I'm seeing how it actually also supports what you're talking about, because unless you are in love with what you want to attain, what you want to accomplish, it's difficult for you to even be passionate to develop yourself and grow in the area of knowledge or skills. So you really have to, piggy bank on the passion that you have for your goal and take it all the way through to when you're now developing yourself, growing your mind, growing your understanding of how best you can perform in attaining, or rather towards attaining, the goals that you have set. I like that one, develop passion. Let's look at the next one, Cynthia. What's the next step now?
Precisely. So the next step now is being curious. You need to cultivate curiosity.
All right.
So by curiosity, we are saying ask questions. Don't be a passive consumer. When you are learning, ask yourself questions. So now, how is it relevant to my situation? Where do I apply this concept? And you'd see that the more you ask yourself questions, the more you're going to dig deeper into the subject. And the more you dig deeper, the more you're going to have depth, and you're going to understand that subject area. So just don't consume knowledge just for the sake of consuming. Be curious, get to know more, ask yourself questions, and see how relevant those concepts are to what you are learning and to your day-to-day life.
Wow, I like that, Cynthia. So wait a minute. We're saying that a person who has developed their action plan, when they're looking at their goals, they should figure out the strengths that they have that can actually help them to accomplish those goals, and also make sure that they don't ignore their lack of capability or weaknesses that can actually derail them to accomplish those goals. And you're saying if a person wants to build themselves up in order to attain the goals that they have set for the year, the first thing that they have to do is to believe that they can. And then they have to have an open mind, and then they have to develop passion towards whatever that they're going to learn or whatever that they're going to grow in. And also they have to be curious as they are now learning, to ask questions, to look into things, to check if it's relevant, if it's factual, and if it actually aligns with what they are building towards, and even the relevance in terms of their location, where they're located, whether they're in Eswatini or they're in South Africa or they're in Uganda or they're even actually outside of Africa. So is this the whole cycle in terms of how you can develop the right mindset for learning?
No, actually, I have one last point.
Okay.
And the last point, I really love it. It's about teaching. So
Okay.
whatever concepts, whatever learnings that you have had, you should be in a position to be able to teach it. You need to
All right.
share whatever you have learned. You know, someone actually said that teaching is learning twice, because the moment you learn and you go and share it, it's like you are learning once more, you're learning again. So they say it's learning twice. Someone even say that the moment you learn something, go and try to explain it to a 4-year-old and see if they get it. If they do
That's
get it, it means that you yourself have already understood the concept and you were able to put it into a context that a 4-year-old would understand. So that way it reinforces what you would have learned.
wow. That's really, I like that one. I like that one really. All right. So from there, what next? How does a person then work on growing themselves so that they are prepared to fully implement and to live within the set vision or plan that they have for 2021?
Okay, so we started from self-evaluation. We went
All right.
to bridging the gap, which we were talking about right now. So the next step now will be preparing for the action, which is now the actual development of a personal learning curriculum. So now when you
Wow.
to develop a personal learning curriculum, this is a structured way of learning. And
Okay.
mind you, people just don't learn in a structured way. There is also an unstructured way, whereby maybe you've heard of a concept and you just feel like, no, I need to know more about this concept. Let me go on the web, look at so many pages so that I can get the general idea of what this concept is all about. So that one is unstructured, and we do find ourselves sometimes learning that way. However, the one of developing a personal learning curriculum, it's something that is structured and intentional. So first and foremost, you need to make a list of the subject areas that you want to learn more about. So like you are saying, you have already done your action plan. You have several goals. Now, from those goals, what you now need to do is to see where you are lacking. What skills do you need for each and every goal to be successfully attained? And what are the gaps that you have in those skills, and what do you need to add to? So now you
All
may
right.
find yourself having a several number of subject areas that you may need to learn more about. For example, you may find yourself wanting to learn how to speak, or you want
Okay.
to learn branding, or you want to learn marketing. Maybe you want to learn more on management and leadership, or
Or
coaching,
finances.
or
Yep.
finances.
Yep.
Yes. So already what we have just said, it's applicable to someone who wants to maybe to start a business. Maybe that's
Right.
what they are looking into doing next year. So now when they have listed those those subject areas that they want to know more about, they now need to take into account how they are going to learn. So now you go back to yourself and you ask yourself, how best can I be able to learn? For some people, you'd see that they find learning easier when they are doing videos, when they are watching videos. So now it's now up to them to think, which platform am I going to use? Is it going to be YouTube videos? What is it going to be? Which channels should I be looking at? Also, for some, it could be audio. They like learning through audio. So maybe they need now to decide on which podcast to subscribe on. And for others, maybe they are readers, maybe they would now need to buy books, or maybe some do better when they are reading articles. There are so many sources of learning. So what you now need to do is to ask yourself, what is my preferred mode of learning, and what is the platform am I going to use? Or maybe you're going to use several, it's still fine. You just need to be clear at the beginning. So, yes. So having said that, also I'd like to talk about.
Before you move on, I really love this. I really love this principle, because I think this is something that so many people take for granted. I mean, we've heard of, learning curriculums for school, like if you're pursuing a degree or whatever that you're pursuing, or even, if you're in some sort of like tertiary education that you're doing, we've heard of curriculums being developed, but so many people have never thought of actually developing their own personal learning curriculum for a specific period of time. And I'm seeing this being a real game changer, whereby you are learning according to how best you can learn, and you are putting in place the specific subject areas that are going to benefit you towards accomplishing your goals. So it's no longer aimless learning. It's no longer like aimless listening to podcasts, listening because you like the accent of the person who's presenting behind that podcast, or you like the graphics of the particular video you're watching, or you just like the cover of the book and you buy it and you read it. It's actually intentional. I really like this. I really like how you've put it across, and I sure hope everybody who's listening to this is going to actually start working on developing their personal learning curriculum. I like this.
All right. Now, when you were talking, I actually thought of something that I think I should share. While you are still taking account of how you are going to learn, there is also a concept that I would like to share of active learning.
All right.
This is now when you practice mindfulness. You need to be present. Imagine yourself, how many times have you gone to a mall and you have been approached by a salesperson? Have you ever taken time to listen to what they will be saying to you? Have you ever taken time to learn even the tactics that they use, so that they get you attentive to what they are saying? So from being mindful and from being present in that conversation, you are able to learn one or two things from that salesperson. And when you get away from there, you can be able now to know that, when I am making a sales pitch, I probably have to look at someone in the eye, or maybe another tactic that you would have learned. So I think it's called active learning. So it just means that you need to be present in every situation that you find yourself in. Also, suppose you work with a team. Another way of practicing this active learning is maybe after your presentation, you get to ask a colleague, how did I go? What do you think of my presentation? They may show you other things that maybe you hadn't seen, and you can see some areas of improvement. That's also how you get to improve and to grow. So it's called active learning. Without
that's really good.
Without further much ado, let me go to the third point in what you need to do when you're developing a personal learning curriculum. You need to develop a calendar. So go back to the example that I had given, that so maybe you have found that you need to learn 6 subject areas in the following year. So now what you need to do is to develop a working schedule. So we all know a year is 12 years long, 12 months long, sorry about that. But then now you have maybe 6 or maybe 4 subject areas that you need to work on. So now you ask yourself, how am I going to learn effectively all these 6? So you probably would now decide to say, okay, I'll do 2 months. I'll do a subject for 2 months. Then I change.
Right.
I do a subject for 2 months, until the end of the year. Or for another tedious subject matter, you may allocate 3 months, while a less tedious one, you can give 1 month. So you need to be clear to how much time are you going to allocate for each subject area that you are going to be learning. Then you also need to ask yourself a question that, so in those 2 months that I'm going to be learning about branding, how much time am I going to be putting to it? Is it going to be 1 hour a day, or it's going to be 3 hours every Friday? How is it going to be like? You need to have a clear schedule, a clear calendar, that anyone who can pick it up can be able to know that, what, every Friday from 9 to 12, Cynthia is going to be unavailable because that's her learning session. So you need to be precise. You really need to be precise. Then the 4th point, you need to identify an accountability partner. So by identifying one accountability partner, you need to know who is going to be accountability partner. So for me, it wouldn't make sense for me to ask my 6-year-old to be my accountability partner, because for starters, they won't even understand why I really need to be learning, because I probably know everything. So now when you are choosing an accountability partner, it has to be someone who will understand your why. They need to understand why you need to learn that you need to learn, and why is it important. They need to know the necessity, to get the necessity, why it is important for you to achieve that goal. So a suitable accountability partner could be a friend, it could be a spouse, it could even be your boss, or a mentor, or a coach. So you really need someone who will be able to push you and to motivate you forward.
Wow, I like that. I like that. Right. So is there another step that we have to take in this whole process, Cynthia? So now we have understood clearly in terms of developing a personal learning curriculum. What else should one do?
Okay, the 4th part now would be taking the actual learning, taking the actual action. So now what we are saying is that you need now to document your learnings. You just don't remember what I said. You don't need to be a passive consumer of knowledge. You need to be documenting that, okay, so today's hour, I learned this and this and this and that. You need to be maintaining a learning journal, and you need to be able to track results. So when I'm saying results, it's saying, okay, so this is what I have learned, and I have managed to go and try it here, and this is what I got. You need to be able to measure the impact of your learning, in short.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Like that. I like that. Right.
Then, all right, I think I'd already spoken about that. Then the last part would be now the outcome. Now that you've learned, you have come full circle. It's now after those 12 months. You now need even to always look for opportunities to implement your learning skills, because it won't work if you are just learning, but then you are not implementing. So you need to look for those opportunities where you're going to try out that new skill, where you are going to test that new knowledge. Is it really working? So how good am I? So is there any difference from where I am now after the 12 months from how I was in December when I was working on the action plan? So you need to apply the acquired knowledge, and you need also to show what you have learned, how it will benefit the others.
Wow, wow. This is really good. This is really good. This is really good. I really like the way that you've made it very simple to actually, for a person to grasp how you have to go through this whole thing, because this is something that so many people lack, how best they can develop themselves. And I like the way that you've really laid it out, in a plan. If anyone has grasped anything today, I'm sure they've really understood the fact that they are the ones who are, in charge of their learning. They're the ones who are in charge of their learning. So they really have to be intentional, set up a plan, structure out things, and ensure that whatever that they're supposed to attain, they are not going to struggle to attain those things, because they would have prepared themselves in terms of knowledge and in terms of skills. Cynthia, thank you so much for making time for us to actually do this session. Any last words to the people who are listening, and something that you just want to emphasize?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I would like to emphasize that, you know what, learning shouldn't be an event. It's actually
Right.
a lifelong process. We never stop learning. And what I would want to encourage everyone is to seize every opportunity to learn. You should come out of your comfort zone, be eager to learn new things. So, what I would say is that even after doing or going through this growth plan, this personal growth plan, uh, when you have finished or when you have completed the curriculum, look for another goal so that you can go through, so that you can create a new growth plan, because we never stop growing. And someone even said that the moment you stop growing is the moment you die. So I don't think anyone would want to die at such an early age. So you need to
Right.
continue learning. You need to continue being curious, to want to know what is new out there, what are the growth opportunities out there, and be comfortable by getting out of our comfort zones.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you for this time that you've made to really empower the people who went through this whole program. So everybody, thank you so much for making time to really be a part of the 2021 action planning session for Kingdom Leaders. We're going to be in touch with you guys to ensure that we make sure actually that you guys are implementing your action plans, and also that you're taking the steps, implementing the steps that we've learned in terms of growing ourselves. Cynthia, once again, thank you so much. Have a blessed day, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you.